So, so we have a question here that says Amrita. Amrita stood near the base of a lighthouse. Okay, by the way, this question came at CBSE 2025. So this question came at CBSE 2025, okay, in which Amrita stood near the base of a lighthouse, gazing up at its tower height. She measured the angle of elevation to the top and found it to be 60. So we have the lighthouse over here. We have the lighthouse over here. Okay, that, and this one is, yeah, that is a lighthouse. And from the bottom, the angle of elevation is 60 degrees. The this is a case study question. The figure is already given. Yeah. Then she climbed a nearby observation deck. Deck is like a platform, 40 meters higher. So this is the deck, in which this is 40 meters above than what she was at, than her original position. Okay. And notice the angle of elevation to the top of the lighthouse to be 45 degrees. So it became from 60 to 45 because she climbed higher. Okay. Now the question says, what's the question? The first question is, if CD is h meters, now CD is h meters, which means h is of some height, find the distance between BD in the term, no, find the distance BD in the terms of h. So we have this BD right here, BD is here, yeah. In terms of h, meaning the h doesn't have any value yet, which means the h value should be in the terms of BD. So how do you find that? Okay, let's take a closer look. Not this close. Since we have this triangle BCD, right? This triangle. Okay. In here, the opposite is H, which is CD. We know that BC. We know this is 90 degrees. Why? Because it's in a platform. We know it's 90 degrees. Now BC is hypotenuse. I write capital H because it might be confusing. And BD is adjacent. Okay. Now from trigonometric ratio in class 10 we have learned that you have to find what? BD in terms of H. So here it's opposite. This one is opposite and this one is adjacent. Which means opposite by adjacent, wow, what we know? Yeah, tan. So we know that tan, I'll mention the first one. We know tan 45 is opposite. Opposite is what? CD. Now CD is equal to H. So H, by the way, supposed to write the given and all supposed to write, but I'm just explaining here. So we know opposite is H, which is CD, by BD. BD, we don't write A. BD is just BD. Write BD. Yeah. Now, what is B2, bro? BD. Now tan 45 is 1. 1 is equal to H by BD. Now if you cross multiply, you get BD is equal to H. Now this is in meters, so H meters. Now if this is H, right? BD is H now. Okay. If BD is H, okay, this is the first one. First one is solved. Now look at the second one. Find the distance BC in H, in terms of H. So BC is what? This. BC is this. Hypotenuse. Supposed to find the hypotenuse in terms of CD, which is H. How do you find that? Same thing, same triangle you have to take in triangle BDC. In triangle BDC, we know you have to find opposite. Okay, you have two cases. You can take opposite or hypotenuse. You can take opposite or adjacent. I mean, hypotenuse or adjacent, or hypotenuse or opposite. It's your choice. But since we know BD is only H, both are H. So doesn't matter which one you take. So I'm just going with CD. Okay, CD and BC. Hypotenuse opposite by hypotenuse. We know sine sine 45 is equal to opposite by hypotenuse. So we can say second one. We can say second one. We can say sine 45 is equal to opposite. Opposite here is CD, so you can take as H, but opposite is H, and hypotenuse is what? BC. Not easy. Now see, sine 45 is 1 by root 3. 1 by root 2, sorry. 1 by root 2. Now 1 by root 2 equal to H. H is as it is. Then BC is BC. If we cross multiply, you get BC is equal to H root 2 meters. So we have expressed the second one also in the terms of H. So the first one BD will be H and BC will be H root 2. Think no. Why is it H root 2? Because always the hypotenuse of a triangle, of a right triangle, will always be bigger than the other two sides. So we know H root 2 is definitely bigger than, so we know this is H root 2. Okay, this is H root 2. Now see, let me just erase this. Most basic. And this one is okay. Now same thing. Look at the third question now. Find the height CE. So what is CE? CE of the lighthouse. Okay. CA is the total, like this big line. Now how do you find that now? How do you find this big CE? Okay, look at the question. They climbed a nearby observation of deck 40 meters. So we know BA is 40 meters now. Okay. So if this is 40 meters, then this one should be also 40, right? So DB is 40 meters. Now if this is 40, then find CE. Okay, you see this big triangle over here. I'm going to mark with red. You see this big triangle. This triangle is supposed to take the right angle. So in this triangle, BA is equal to D. We can say this 60 degrees should be, the opposite will be H plus 40, right? So let's see. CE, right? So we can say in triangle CAE, this is supposed to find what? BC. No, it's supposed to find the lighthouse CE. So we can take opposite by adjacent. We know tan 60 is equal to opposite by adjacent. And now we know tan 60 is equal to root 3 is equal to, opposite is not 40, it's 40 plus H. 40 meters plus H by adjacent will be AE. Now previously we have mentioned that H value you're supposed to find. AE is supposed to find. Now how do you do that? It's easy. This triangle, you know, BD is equal to H. If this BD, if BD is H, then A is also H. Why? Because they both are equal. This is a rectangle. This both are equal. This both are equal, right? So we can say A is as H. Okay. So instead of A, we can say root 3 is equal to 40 plus H by H. Okay. Now, actually, in this question, they gave as root 3 equal to 1.73. I think, yeah, last year they asked this question. They mentioned that root 3 is equal to 1.73. They specifically ask you to use this equation, use this value in this question. Third one. Okay, let's use later. So root 3 and H we have. So you can just multiply. You get H root 3 is equal to 40 plus H. Now let's find root 3. So 1.73 root 3, 1.73 H. Now this plus will become minus, so minus H is equal to 40. Okay. Okay. Now 1.73 H minus H is 0.73. 0.73 H is equal to 40. Okay. Okay. Now H will go other side, so H is equal to 40. Now 0.73 we can just multiply by 100, so it will become 4000 by 73. Yeah. Now we can just multiply and we can just divide. Now this will get 0, so it will become 7 into 5, so 5, then 4 again, then get a 0.8 something. Okay. Now we get H is equal to 54.8 approximately meters. If H is 54.8 meters approximately. Okay. So right now, if H is 54.8 meters, then CE is equal to H plus 40, because you're asking us to find CE. They ask us to find CE. So for finding CE, it's H plus 40. So here H plus 40 is nothing but, I'll write here. So CE is equal to H, which is 54.8 plus 40. That's equal to 94.8 meters. In exam, don't write approximate values, because if you get a perfect value like 94.8, don't round it off to 95, because you might lose marks. Some examiners might cut mark if you write 95 meters. So it's wrong. Don't write 95, just write 94.8. Okay. Now C is equal to 94.8. Alright. Now the third one is 94.8. Now look at the fourth one. Let me just clear this up. Now see, now you're supposed to find the distance AE if AC is 100 meters. What is AC? This big hypotenuse of the big triangle. This entire thing is 100. If this is 100, they're asking us to find what is AC. No, they're asking we're supposed to find is AE. So basically, supposed to find the value of this if this big hypotenuse is AC. This is a more easy question because it's just direct. It's very direct. So how do you find? So you know AC is 100. If AC is 100, then in this triangle you can take hypotenuse by opposite. So hypotenuse by opposite, by hypotenuse by adjacent. It's not opposite, it's adjacent. Hypotenuse by adjacent, it's actually cos. So cos 60 is equal to adjacent by hypotenuse. So we know cos 60 is the opposite of sine. If sine 60 is root 3 by 2, then cos 60 is 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 is equal to adjacent, which is AE, by H is what? AC, which is 100. Okay, is equals to 2. I'll write a different color. I'll write yellow. 2 AE is equal to 100. So therefore, A will be 100 by 2 is equal to 50 meters. This is more easy and direct question considering this one. So if you're trying to do the third question, try to do the B part because it's more direct and simple. By the way, this is actually an OR question. You can do 3 or 3, A and B. Look, it's an OR question. So this is more easier than this one because people might get confused and they just find the value of H and they won't add with 40. You're supposed to find C, you're supposed to add 40 plus H. So this is very simple question. They asked us for case study last year, I think set 1. Okay, thank you.